the lightning round.
Welcome.
Hello, and welcome to episode 16 of the Dave Kershner Lightning Round podcast. It is week 22 in the 46th Quadrennial Hunger Games, and I am your host, Dave Kershner. Let's get to it. Actually, before we get to that, I tell you what, that Biden and his administration, they cannot do anything right, and we're going to cover some of the highlights. But I did want to say this is going to be the last episode for the late winter and early spring session or season. Just my work schedule and my family schedule, now that everybody's home from school, it's just too much. It's too crazy. I thought I could get 2 more episodes in. But this one's going to be the last one. It's even late. But I did want to let you guys know that my website has been updated with a new blog post for what I just kind of coined as garden maintenance. So basically what I did there was I had built a giant garden. It's not giant, I'm not plowing acres or anything, but it's 20 by 16, and previously it had these individual beds that were 5 by 6, 4 by 6 that kind of went around the corners and in the middle. But anyway, you can see pictures of it on the website of what it looked like before and after. Basically, I got a request from my wife to kind of make tending the garden a little bit easier for her mother, who's got her mobility is decreasing as she's aging. So instead of these big beds that she can't really reach across to get to the things in the middle, because they're 6 feet and 4 feet. I mean, my original goal was to be able to reach them from inside the garden and outside the garden. It's a little fenced-in area deal. But even that was too far with balance issues and things like that. So what I did was I removed all of those big beds and installed an 18-inch bed that went all the way around the perimeter, or inside the perimeter of the fence. And then there was one bed in the middle that was 4 feet long. I made it 6 feet long. So I have now a really almost like a 3.5, 4 foot wide walkway that goes all the way around that center bed. And I needed to do the work anyway because I built the garden using standard lumber, not pressure treated. I didn't want the chemicals leaching into my food products. So a lot of those timbers, they were 5, 6 years old, and they had started to rot and disintegrate. So I had to replace a lot of wood anyway. Unfortunately, I had to do it in the middle of a lumber shortage crisis, spike hike, whatever you want to call it. And but I did manage, because of the way that I reconfigured it, I did it with the least amount of lumber as possible. I also wound up shaving about $150 off the price of the lumber, because instead of 2x8s, I went with 2x6. So, it was, because of COVID, everybody was home, except for certain skills and functions. But because everybody was home and they were spending all this time in their homes, they said, wow, this place really needs fixing up. We hadn't noticed that before. When you can't leave your house for nearly a year, thanks, Democrats. Thanks, Fauci, you lying piece of crap. We got your emails. Sorry, rant. People started fixing stuff up. Then, because everybody was at home, the truckers were at home. Truckers close to retirement said, screw it, I'm done, I'm out. We got a trucker shortage. We got a lumberjack shortage. We got warehouse shortages. and then everybody and their brothers doing updates and remodels on their house. So they burned through everything that was already in storage, and now there's no more lumber. Supply and demand, people. So I went with 2x6. I saved about $150-200. The bill, I didn't buy. I bought two 16-footers, two 12-footers, and four 8-footers. All of these 2x6. And the bill was $160. This should have cost me $75. But it's ridiculous. Man, maybe $100. But I've got friends, they were getting ready to do a remodel, because they got sucked into the whole, we're at home, might as well fix it up, blah, 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 blah. Their lumber prices went up by 2.5 times. So what they had been quoted pre-COVID or pre-shortage, I should say, their lumber bill was supposed to be about $15,000. Well, now that lumber bill is about $50,000. It's ridiculous. So if you don't have to buy any lumber, don't. Or if you don't desperately need it, don't go buy it. Just bide your time, find something else to do, and wait. But, so I guess I'm just going to put Biden's jackassery minute off for a little bit. So that also brings me to, I told you about this stuff on the website. I was contacted by a guy through the website, and he works for a company that, Bullion Max. I don't know how he found my website, but he did. He found my precious metals page on my website. And he said, hey, I work for this company. At least that's how I inferred it anyway. But on your precious metals page, if you have, there are tax implications, basically is what he was getting at. And Bullion Max had put out some material on the various tax implications for precious metals and coin collections. And then he also provided a link to the IRS tax inflation adjustments for 2021. So I read through the material and I thought, well, this is important information. I mean, even if you're preparedness minded and you're buying precious metals because you don't trust a Democrat or hackers or whatever, as a hedge against societal collapse, whatever your reason is, that's your business. That's up to you. But as you age, if you are going to bequeath your coin collection, your precious metals, your junk silver, whatever, there are tax implications for that if it is part of your estate, and you need to be aware of that. So I added those things to my precious metals page on the website. One thing that I haven't written up yet, actually, we were just looking for other ways to kind of improve quality of life around the house, and now that mask mandates are no longer being required, and people are opening their businesses back up, and restaurants are open again, and I mean my wife and I were out running errands on a Friday night, and it was probably about 7:00, and we went down a very popular section, kind of like an entertainment district of sorts in one of the other suburbs, and I'm telling you, man, that the outside patio looked like a college meat market on a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday night. I'm talking people were in skimpy dresses, guys were wearing polos, everybody's hair was done. I mean, these people looked like they had never seen other humans before in their life, and they were just like, oh my God, another human, I must talk to them. It was pretty amusing to me. But so people are out and about now, and people are getting vaccinated if that's what you choose to do. But My wife and I have a decent circle of friends, and some of them know about me and my proclivities, and most don't, but some do. The ones that matter do. The ones that at some point when I got my concealed carry license, we were out to several dinner parties and birthday parties and things of that nature. And I think I told you this before, but I think at some point, concealed carry was a big topic in our area, and because they were changing some of the rules and some of the laws and the classroom requirements, and some people were talking about it. And I guess at some point, my wife said, "Oh yeah, Dave and I went and got our concealed carry." And a lot of people were very shocked at the fact that my wife had hers. But, I wasn't. I was like, you live with me. You need this. So, but over the course of several birthday parties, dinner parties, whatever, several of the wives came up and said, do you do instruction? Do you do training? Can I get my concealed carry license through you? And I was in the process of getting my NRA certification so I could be a firearms instructor. And then COVID happened, and ammo prices went up because a Democrat made it into the White House, and BLM started torching cities, and people said that's enough of that crap, and they went and bought firearms at record clips. I shouldn't say clips, record pace, because they're buying all the mags, they're buying all the bullets, they're buying all the guns. And I got an email a week ago from one of the larger, more popular shooting ranges out here in Ohio, and it was a big announcement in this email blast that came out from them that they had all calibers in stock, and there were no restrictions on quantity. It was everything I could do to keep my butt parked in the seat. I was like, well, let's go. And, but I don't want to say I have enough ammo, but I want to say I have enough ammo to not rush out and go foolishly buy stuff that's overpriced. I still prefer to go to the gun shows and go see the little old guys in the back corner that, they've got their folding tables out and they've got all kinds of ammo. I'll tell you one ammo I refuse to buy is Russian ammo. That stuff is crap. Every time I buy that stuff and I go to the range and I use it, it takes like 20 minutes longer to clean my firearm after shooting that stuff. It's just bad. I don't know what kind of powder they're using, but I don't know, man. It's just I don't like it. It's not good for the firearms that I have. I mean, it's good in the respect or in the sense that it's cheap. And if you're going to go out target shooting, plinking, whatever, just expect that you're going to have to clean that firearm very well. But one of the other things, to get back to what I was talking about, one of the things that we decided to do was, we have a friend of ours who owned a restaurant and COVID shut it down. Actually, he owns several restaurants. It's kind of it's not a franchise, it's not a chain, but he owns multiple restaurants and they're the same restaurant. So maybe I guess that's a chain, but they're all here in Columbus or around the suburbs or ringing around the city or whatever. But the one that was in our suburb got shut down, and it was actually cheaper for him to close that restaurant and open a new restaurant in a different part of town, given the restrictions that the governor was putting on him with capacity and with all of the barriers that had to go up and the lease and all of these other factors that contributed into it. It was going to cost him almost $50,000 or $60,000 to reopen that restaurant. So instead, he just closed that location and went to a different part of the city where rent was cheaper and the restrictions weren't as harsh, and so he just opened up at a different location instead of reopening one that was just beyond expensive. But when he shut it down, it actually was only like a mile up the street, less than a mile up the street, and he said, "Hey man, I got all of these outdoor patio lights. Do you want them?" And I was like, "Sure, I've always wanted patio lights. Let's do that." So I went up there with my 10-foot folding ladder and got up on the roof, got up on the patio, took all this stuff down. So I have 3 strands of patio lights. Each one's about 25 feet long. And so we took 2 of them and we put them up on our back fence, and on one of the sides of our fence. And the kids loved it last summer because, we had one kid that was a high school graduate, another kid that was going to be a junior in high school, and, we had all their little friends were over, and kids were getting ready to go to college, what have you. And so we had we let them have friends over, so we had the patio lights on. It was actually very nice. But we had one strand of patio lights that I had put up along the under the overhang for the back porch, the screened-in porch, and we were using like command strips and stuff. It just didn't look good. It looked kind of trashy, and I didn't like it, so I took those down. But I had them up for the summer, and I took them down for the winter. But so I still had this strand, and it was really bothering me. I really wanted patio lights actually over and around the patio, so I started doing some research. And what I found was disturbing because, places like Amazon or Lowe's or Home Depot, Menards, your box stores, whatever, they have these patio light kits, right? So you get a pole, you get the wire, you get all of these different open hooks, closed hooks, and compression, and it was just like, you buy these kits, it was like $80. I was like, this is ridiculous. I just need one pole and about 30 feet of wire. That's it. I've got hooks and I've got tighteners and line. I was just frustrated. So I just went to Lowe's one day and I was like, I'm going to solve this problem. So what I wound up doing was I bought a 1-inch diameter galvanized pipe, black. And I bought a 1 1/4 inch PVC pipe, 2 feet long. And then I drove that into the ground with, after I opened up, I did not use a post hole digger. What I actually wound up using was 6 pieces of rebar. I drove that into the ground to make a hole. And then I slid the PVC 2 feet into the ground. And then I slid the galvanized pipe into the PVC sleeve. So now that pole is removable every winter. So the galvanized pipe, 10 feet long, 1-inch diameter, cost me $12. $12. The PVC cost me $1 because I got 2 feet. The most expensive piece that I got was the wire. I got 3/16 gauge wire, and that was $1 a foot, and I needed 30 feet of it, so it cost me $30. So I'm up to $45 roughly, and the kits were easily double that. Because I was still in the black, I bought a can of primer and paint, Rust-Oleum. So I sanded down the galvanized pipe, got it a little rough, and then I sprayed it with the Rust-Oleum. I got a little cap to go on the pipe so the pipe wouldn't fill with water. Easy peasy. Cost me $50 tops. Okay? And as I was putting everything up, I was like, you know what? I really want one of those. It's like I can't even remember the name of it. Turnbuckle. That's what it is. It's an open hook on one end and a a closed loop on the other end, and then you use a little turnbuckle, and it's been threaded for both the hook and the closed end, so you can kind of give some tension on your line. So I went and bought one of those. That was like $250. So I ran the wire, put in the pipe, ran the wire, hung the lights. Lights are heavy, so you can't keep it taut. It's going to be slack somewhat. But I went back to Lowe's, I think it was, to get the turnbuckle, because this was just something that I wanted to do. And lo and behold, there was a young couple in there, and they were talking to somebody who worked there about patio lights. And the husband did not like what the guy was telling him. He was like, well, you go to Amazon and you buy this kit and it's $35 and you're going to need this and that, and you're going to go, but you got to, if you want the poles, then you got to add $75, $100 to it. And the husband was like, this is crap. And they heard me, because I I have an inability to keep my mouth shut. I laughed out loud. I just kind of said, ha ha, did it. And the husband kind of turned to me and he was like, man, did you buy a kit or something? And I was like, no, man, I just went over to the plumbing section. And he was like, what? He said, what did you do? And I told him. I said, I bought, 1-inch galvanized pipe. I bought caps to go on top of them. I bought a 2-foot long, 1 1/4 diameter PVC sleeve to put into the ground. And then I just slide the galvanized pipe into that PVC, and therefore they're removable in the winter. I said I bought a turnbuckle for the wire. I said the wire is the most expensive part. I said, how many poles are you looking to do? So I wound up walking this couple around Lowe's for an hour, getting them all the pieces and parts that they wanted to do. I mean, the guy had like a picture on his phone, and I was like, okay, well, you can put a hook here that goes on the fascia above your patio there, and then this goes over to the pole, and then it goes to this pole and to that pole. They wanted 3 poles, and I was like, okay, that's going to cost you $35. So you got $35 in poles. Here's an extra cap for all 3 of them. The caps were like $1.50, and then the wire, they did the circumference. They figured it was about 50 feet. So I said, well, there's $50 right there. I said, and I just kind of walked them through it. I said, you only need 1 turnbuckle because it's fixed on the other end, so you just need to bring it taut here. And they were like, okay, great. And then the dude that worked there was like, man, you want a job? So I'm gonna take some pictures and get that written up and put that up on the website. Speaking of the website, go to it and send me a message or shoot me an email at djkpublishinghouse@gmail.com, and you can get free copies of the first 4 parts of my 5-part fictional series in audio format. So there's that. And the other thing, you know what? Actually, I'm going to skip the Biden jackassery a minute. I mean, there's just one thing that I will point out. Two. So, Comrade Kamala gets on Air Force 2. She's going to fly to Guatemala. And she's going down there and she's going to tell that president that climate change and the economy are the reasons why we're having border problems on our southern border with Mexico. While she's in the air, the Guatemalan president says, no, neither one of those things has anything to do with it. You have a border problem because of your administration, because you rolled back all of the Trump policies. That's why you have a problem. And now a mysterious technical difficulty occurred, and the plane turned around. Went back to the airport. I just thought that was really amusing. And the other one was when she finally did make it to Guatemala, there were people outside protesting her presence, and they literally had made signs that said, Trump won. I just, you know what? And here's why that's so amusing to me and actually truthful. Because only in countries that have voter problems and election problems can actually see when an election is corrupt or when somebody has been elected unfairly and inaccurately. So leave it to the Guatemalans to go out and they had a big banner. I mean, it was huge. It said Trump won. I just thought that was funny. And of course, Biden, that guy's disrespect knows no bounds. First he's shutting down parades and stuff in D.C. because he's an idiot. I don't know. And then he forgets the anniversary of D-Day. It boggles the mind. There's all kinds of things going on with the election audits in a number of states and specific counties, large population centers in certain states. So it's going to be an interesting summer. So it'll be interesting. We'll have a nice conversation when I come back in late August, early September. But that doesn't mean you should stop doing what you're doing. And what I like to do is during the summer it's a lot of reading, it's a lot of research. It's because it's so friggin' hot and muggy. Pick up a good book. I've got a couple of them. If you like fiction, I got a whole 5-part series. If you like nonfiction, you want to learn stuff, I've got 2 preparedness books out there. One's about herbal remedies, and the other one's just about general preparedness. How and why you could do certain things at your house, or for your family, or wherever. And that goes to, I was in the grocery store. I want to say this was what, April, late March, early April. And I was standing in line waiting to check out. I had my mask on. I was socially distanced at the cash register. And National Geographic actually had their monthly issue came out, and it was the cover said, "Simple Sustainability, a Modern Take on Self-Reliant Living." And I thought, well, that was really interesting that they would do that. I mean, I wasn't happy about the damn price. It was freaking $14.99. I mean, they're real proud of their stuff, but I mean, they are printing it on high gloss, and they got color photos. I mean, all that adds to the cost. I know this because I publish books, and so you can actually hear it. Hear that? That's the book. So I picked it up, and I've read it multiple times. But that's the kind of stuff that you need to be on the lookout for. Look for things that will help further your knowledge and understanding. And then that could be fiction, nonfiction, because a lot of the fiction authors in the dystopian and preparedness genres, post-apocalyptic, whatever you want to do, the people that are writing like me, that we will weave in things that have worked for us into the storylines. So if you're reading and you're paying attention, you can see how, certain authors have handled certain problems, or at least researched how to handle certain problems. So there's that, okay? Then you have your nonfiction stuff, and that's just blatant, in your face, here's how you do stuff. If you like YouTube, I mean, I don't like their politics, but it's a very useful resource when it comes to seeing people trying to solve their problems. I'm a very visual learner. I can read about it in a book. That's why I write the way that I do, because I'm trying to write it as if I were trying to write for a visual learner. So there's a lot of detail. But I have several subscriptions on YouTube for various sites and preparedness, homesteads, farms. They run the gambit. And the reason I do this is because I'm looking long term, and I'm looking at having my own piece of property, and what do I want to do on that property? How do I want to handle water problems? How do I want to handle crops? How do I want to handle wildlife? So these are things that I'm trying to solve before I even get there. So I know exactly what it is I want to do and how I can accomplish that goal. And one of the ways to do that is to do extensive amounts of research. Don't just go buy a piece of land and say, I'm going to throw some corn over here. I'm going to put a deer stand over there. No, you got to look and work and research and build a knowledge base to know what wildlife is in your area, what crops will attract them, what crops grow in your cold hardiness zone, what types of hunting is allowed in your area, what types of wildlife leave specific tracks so that I can put my stand, a deer stand, a shelter of some kind, whatever it is, where the wildlife is going to migrate through or congregate in. And one of the ways that I do this is I use YouTube. They're very helpful if you find the right resources. So, for example, I've been following Sown Farms, and it's a large farming operation that does corn, soybean, and beef. And it's fun to see these guys out and their little adventures. And it's better than reality shows because it's not staged. These are people, doing stuff that they actually need to do. They just happen to record it for you. So I follow Sown Farms, and they're out of Mount Vernon, South Dakota. There's another family that I follow that they have their own kind of off-grid place there in the foothills of the Ozarks. It's called Modern Family, Clearing the Way for, what is this? It's actually called Keeping It Dutch, is the name of the what is this? Like a subscription, the video people, whatever. I also follow Stony Creek Heritage Farm. They were actually a guest on another podcast. No, it's not a podcast. It's a YouTube channel. The YouTube channel I think that he was a guest on was something else, and I can't find it. I can't remember. I know I was following it. But anyway, so you've got Stony Creek Heritage Farms. You've got the Arms Family Homestead. This guy's a cop, and he's got a homestead, so he's doing stuff and taking videos. There's tons of information for YouTube channels that are shut down, but you can at least go in and see the stuff that they posted because it doesn't come down, or they didn't take it down. One of the first ones that I followed was the Prepared Homestead. They're up in Idaho, and they've actually branched out. The wife does a lot of homeopathic things, so she has her own channel for that. But the family continues on with this Prepared Homestead YouTube channel, so you can see them doing all kinds of stuff. Like they just spent several episodes talking about building cold climate greenhouses. So there were 12 episodes for that. So those things will help build your knowledge base. One of the other originals that I followed was Trayer Wilderness, off-grid faith-led preparedness. So it's a husband and wife and their autistic son. They live up in the mountains. I think they're in Idaho as well, maybe Wyoming. But they're out west is what I guess the best way to say that is. And then I like watching people build log cabins and build yurts and build. I like it when people build stuff because that helps me. I mean, I used to be a builder. I used to build custom luxury homes. I know how to put things together. I know how to read a blueprint. I've got a weird spatial ability for doing that kind of stuff. So I follow another YouTube channel called My Self-Reliance. And this guy just does self-reliance skills for the 21st century. So he shows you how to kind of do stuff. And I love, and it's I know it's probably scripted, but I love the TV show on, I think it's Nat Geo or A&E, I don't remember, Discovery maybe, I don't know, it's Mountain Men. I like following those guys. They amuse me with some of the things that they do, but they're solving some difficult problems on occasion. So aside from the entertainment factor, you can actually get some very useful information. So that's it. So let's see. I got my garden maintenance website post that I put up and told you about. I talked about the patio lights. I got to get that posted. Subscriptions, that could be YouTube. We talked about those. There's also newsletters and websites that you can subscribe to. So you can actually subscribe to mine. But, I'm just trying to get your mind around, or your thought processes recalibrated, so that during these months of summer, you don't get stagnant. If you know where you're going, like I do, I know where I'm going in terms of I'm going to be purchasing land fairly soon, I hope. But there are things that I want to do on that land, and if you know what those are, then you can go do additional research, whether it's a YouTube channel, whether it's somebody's website, whether it's a book. A nonfiction book. These are things that you can do to help continue to build your knowledge base when a lot of your podcasters like myself, we go offline during the summer because we got stuff to do, and we have family and we have obligations, and it's vacation time, it's whatever the reason is. My particular reason is I have family in the house, and it's difficult to find time to record the podcast when the family's home, and I've got job obligations, so I can't record during my work hours. So I have to record either before work or after work, and lo and behold, that's when family's here. So, and they're always making a racket. I mean, even over the course of recording this podcast for this week, my daughter has entered and exited our home 3 times. The storm door, which is directly below my feet, has slammed shut every single time. Then my wife came home from the gym, and she had just finished working out, so she's in and out. She's bringing stuff in and out of the car, and I'm, it's distracting. There's just a lot of distractions. It makes it difficult. So, that's a wrap on my first stint as a podcaster. I'm going to be taking the summer off. I will see you guys after Labor Day. That's probably my target date. And then I'll go the school year. I'll go Labor Day to Memorial Day. That's my window for my podcast. So check out my website, davidjkershner.com. Read about the things that I do over the course of the summer. Feel free to drop me a line for topics that you want to see covered when we return. Shoot me an email, or use the website to contact me and request promo codes for the first 4 parts of the foreign and domestic fiction series. The website is davidjkershner.com. The email address is djkpublishinghouse@gmail.com. So use those 2 resources to reach out to me and get some free books or free audio. And if you shoot me an email or drop me a line on the website and with a topic, say, hey, it'd be great, I'm trying to learn more about this. Hey, I got all summer, I can do tons of research on it if I don't already know about it, and we can discuss. So everybody have a great summer. Stay safe. If you got a concealed carry, you might want to keep it with you, because you just don't know what's going to happen over the course of the summer. Last summer they tried to pretty much burn the country down, so who knows. So take care, keep your powder dry, stay safe. Bye-bye.
Happy Hunger Games, and may the odds be ever in your favor.